is to be a little bit brighter, so we're gonna be adding some brighter blonde, some money pieces to give her like that bright pop of blonde in the front, but she also wants it a little dimensional still, so we do wanna have some tones of dimension throughout to make the blonde stand out a little more. And then we're also going to be root shadowing. So the first step is we are going to mix up our lightener. I am using Goldwell Oxycure. You guys probably aren't surprised at all because it's my favorite. And I typically start with a scoop and a half. I feel like that is the perfect amount to start with because if you do 1 scoop, you're gonna have to mix up again really soon. And then if you do 2 scoops, sometimes it makes your product swell a little too much. So I feel like a scoop and a half is the perfect happy medium. And it's gonna give us enough lightener to work with until we have to mix up, which shouldn't be too soon. And then at the same time, it's not gonna swell and be too much product that we're wasting. So I am just mixing that up right here. I always like to mix up with a whisk because it helps your product just kind of get a little bit smoother, and it's going to get rid of any lumps that your bleach might have. And then it also keeps your brush really clean. If you mix it up with your brush is gonna be filled with bleach and then it's just a mess. So I like to use a whisk to mix up first, and then we're gonna go in and highlight. So we're gonna do the highlight first, and then I'm also gonna mix up a little bit of a low light, and I'm just gonna be doing this sporadically throughout her hair, and it's just to add the dimension in. She is dimensional right now, so technically I could probably just leave her, oh gosh. So technically I could probably just highlight and be fine, but I kind of want to fine tune the low lights she has and counteract some of the warmth she has and give it like a more neutral look for her low light. So that's what I'm going to be doing right here. Okay, so I am going to take Goldwell Colorance. This is my favorite line to use for root smudging, toning, low lights, you name it. And I am going to use 7N. And if I were doing a low light on someone that was like really blonde and I was adding depth back in, I would do 7N, 7G to fill it a little bit. But since she already has existing warmth in her hair, I'm just going to do 7N because it's going to help neutralize a little bit of the warmth she has and just give it a little bit of a better tone for what we're going for. Okay, so this is her before. As you can see, she has not had her hair done in quite a while. It's been over a year since she has lightened it. So she's about level 7 naturally, and she has those faded blonde ends. And I am so excited to brighten her up because she's getting married this weekend, and it's just crazy. By the time this comes out, she'll actually be a married woman, but this is her wedding hair, so we are just wanting to make it perfect for her. So we're going to be doing a lived-in blonde. So I'm doing a full highlight. This is how I section it off in the back. I have 2 sections on each side in the back, and then I have an upside down triangle right there. And I am just going to start up the nape of the head on an angle, working my way up until I reach that triangle. And I am just going to do fine baby lights. Luckily, her hair is natural regrowth. It's going to be pretty easy to lift through. And I'm just doing the fine section so that everything looks really natural and blended. So I want to tip out her ends to give her maximum brightness. So every 4 to 5 foils, I'm taking all of those dropouts, teasing away, and then I'm just going to do a slice of that same lightener, and I'm just feathering it up so it gives her ends a brighter appearance. And like I said, since it's natural regrowth, this is just going to take it to the next level. It's going to be super easy for this to lift out, and this is just a great way to make your guest feel even brighter. other side and I foiled up the whole side of the head, and now I am just tipping out the ends afterwards. I just wanted to show you guys a little bit closer up what this looks like, and I am using that same lightener formulation. It's 20 volume. Sometimes when you tip out ends, depending on the level they are or if it's previously colored hair or not, you can either bump up your developer if you feel like you need a little extra kick, or you can actually do it lower, like a 7 or a 10 volume, if it's already pre-lightened ends that you want to be more careful on. When you get to the back, we are going to be now working our way up that upside down triangle, and we are just going to work straight up and then tip out the ends as well. All right, for the front of her hair, I'm doing one of my favorite highlight patterns. It's where I start directly above the ear with a foil straight on. Then the next one is going to be angled around the hairline, and then I'm just going to repeat that same pattern until I get to that little bang box that I have carved out in the front. I did a video dedicated to this highlighting pattern. I will link it in the description box below, but it's seriously one of my favorite go-tos for blondes that want to be bright, but also blondes that want a little dimension as well. It's just a really great way to brighten them up all over and also focus on that face frame at the same time. So it's kind of like killing two birds with one stone. You just kind of do it every other instead of doing hairline first and then the rest. So it's a really quick and easy way to get brighter. Okay, now that I'm in that little bang box, I am just going to be doing back-to-back baby lights really close together and then just start gradually spacing them out as I get further to the back so that it's brighter in the front and it has a nice transition. And I always love doing a bang box because then I can just focus on that hairline area where the bangs are, and I just know it's going to be perfect if I do that all on its own. And another thing is, you can see that I had that little bang box clipped away with this cream clip. It's a smaller clip, and I love using these in that bang box because it's just easier to hold all those smaller hairs in together. Sometimes big clips are just too big and they get in the way, so I love having a smaller clip there to utilize holding those hairs back.
And I am also teasing and tipping out all of these dropouts, but as you can see, I'm going to pull it to the side. You don't want to do it right in front of your client's head where it's just going to be annoying in their face. So you're going to definitely want to do this to the side, and it's just going to add an even brighter pop to that front area.
Okay, so we are going to mix up her toner. She's been processing for about 45 minutes and she lifted beautifully. She was just under heat the last 10 minutes and she is there. So I am going to be mixing up Goldwell Colorance 7N, 7NA about equal parts with their processing lotion. And I am going to do a root shadow with this formula because it matches her natural pretty well. And I just love using Goldwell for root shadows lately. I feel like it has way better coverage. I can trust the tone. I know how long to let it process. I obviously love shades too, but I almost feel like shades is better for a root tap where you don't need it to be as full coverage and a little more transparent. And I just think that Goldwell is the way to go if you're doing a shadow or a smudge. So I am mixing this up. Okay, and then for her toner, I actually decided to use Goldwell again, and I am going to do 10P, and then I'm gonna do 9N. So the 10P is going to be perfect for getting her that icier, brighter blonde, but then I also want it to be a little more neutral because we're trying to keep some dimension, and the 9N will be great for that.
All right, I am pulling out the tipped out ends first because that's going to make it easier to pull the rest of the foils out. So as you can see here, she had a lot of foils in. She lifted really well, and I'm so excited to see what we get with this. So I know it can be hard to knock through teasing. It can be really hard to brush it out. It can get tangly, especially when there's bleach and color and product in there. So I'm going to give you a few tips on how I like to do it. So I pulled all of the foils, I leaned her back, and the first step is using a clarifying shampoo. I feel like this kind of helps break down all of the product and color and residue in the hair, and it kind of helps you work apart that teasing. So I always do this very first. It also gives us a really good canvas to tone on. So that is going to be my first step. Then I am going to do conditioner. Sometimes I'll do an Olaplex treatment if I feel like the client needs it. And I'm going to work it through and condition like normal, but kind of massage it through that teasing and try to work through it the best I can with the conditioner. All right, then I'm going to sit her up, and I am going to be using the Unite 7 Seconds Detangler just to work through the rest of that tease. And it's best to section the hair off, start at the nape, and just work section by section. I'm using the multi-use brush that we have here at Jessi Styles, and it has metal bristles, which makes the job a lot easier. I feel like this is the best brush to use on wet hair. Whether you're trying to get out teasing or not, it just glides through so nicely, and it is extra strong when it comes to those teasy lights. So I sectioned off, and I am using that 7 seconds mids to ends, and I'm just brushing it through. You guys have seen me put Olaplex or a deep conditioner on the mids to ends while I tone. This is a similar idea. I'm just going to leave that Unite Detangler on her mids to ends, and it's going to give us a barrier to protect the hair while I'm doing that root shadow, and it's also going to help work through that tease. So as you can see here, we have half of it now brushed out completely. It works really well. This is like my favorite leave-in, and I am obsessed with it. When it comes to root shadowing, smudging, tapping, whatever you're doing at the bowl, I always like to section off as well to keep everything clean. So I'm just sectioning off that bang box just like I did when I was highlighting. We're going to keep those little fringe pieces for very last, and then I'm just going to part her down the middle so that I can do left and right separately. And then once I get to each side, I'm actually going to section off again so I have a top and a bottom section. So I am just doing that right here using the blending comb to comb through and part off, and then I am going to start at the nape of her neck. On her, we are just going to be doing a light root shadow. This is going to give us a little bit of depth at the root, but it's not going to be too far down like a smudge, but also not like super blonde up to the root. It's just kind of like that happy medium. So I am just taking my brush and I am doing that shadow. I like to follow the same pattern I used when highlighting. So as you can see, I'm working my way up, kind of following that pattern on a diagonal, working up the curvature of the head. And then every 3 or 4 sections that I part off, I like to take my blending comb and just go through and blend everything to make sure that everything's looking good and everything's saturated. Okay, and same thing goes for the front. I like to follow that same highlighting pattern. I always kind of outline the section first to give me an idea of where my product's gonna lay. Then I'm gonna start at the bottom and do the same thing I did with the foils, starting right above the ear head on, and then I'm going to angle it and do that money piece that I have in the front. So I feel like doing this and following your foiling pattern is a really good way to make sure everything's getting saturated, all of the highlights are getting touched, everything's just looking good. I feel like if you're really organized with your foil placement, it's going to be that much easier to do your glossing, your smudging, your toning at the bowl. Okay, so when it comes to doing that little bang box, you can see here that it's untouched. I am just going to take that same formula and I'm just going to be tapping it. I like to work backwards like you can see me doing here, just so that I don't bring the product down too far. Doing a gentle tap, it's just going to kind of diffuse it a little bit, give it a little bit of depth, but really it's not going to be super noticeable and it's going to keep those bangs really bright. All right, so after tapping those bangs, I'm just going to pin them away again. Then what I'm going to do is just rinse out the mids to ends where we had that detangler in there, and then I'm going to start toning it. So I'm leaving the root shadow in because I do want to work all of them together so that it's a really nice seamless blend. So I'm now taking the toner and I'm just going to be applying this mids to ends. And what I love about Goldwell Colorance is you literally cannot leave it on too long. You know how with like certain toners, especially shades, if you walk away for a minute, it's going to go purple. Like you just can't leave it on super long. Even though they say to leave it on like 20 minutes, sometimes I get nervous. But with Goldwell, you literally can. Like it never overtones. It just gets prettier. It's awesome. So I am using that to tone her right here. And then I'm actually going to be doing something a little bit different in the bangs. Sometimes if I want that money piece to be a little bit brighter than the rest of the hair, I use a different formulation. But her bunny piece is lifted so well, I'm literally just going to use purple shampoo. So while the rest of her hair is sitting in that toner, I'm just going to use the Unite Purple Shampoo in her bang area. This is going to give us like an icier, brighter piece right in the front. And then I'm going to rinse them because it doesn't need to sit on very long. It's just kind of watching it and seeing what it does. make sure I showed you guys the color before we put the extensions in because you guys always ask to see that. Look how amazing and beautiful this color is. It is so perfect. I love that it's just such a seamless blend, but it has those brighter pops of blonde. It's going to match the extensions so well, and I'm so excited. So we are now going to be adding in 2 rows of Cozy Wefts from Jessi Styles Co., and we are using the colors Freddie and Skye. It's like the perfect dimensional rooted blonde that matches her hair honestly dead on, and then the Skye is going to be a little bit of a brighter blonde to add those pops of brighter blonde in there as well. So we are doing 2 rows like I said. I'm doing Skye on bottom and Freddie on top, and I literally just can't get over this color. It's so beautiful. It blends so perfectly, and I feel like the base color matches her natural so well, and she's going to be able to go a long time without having to get this touched up. And that's what I love so much about lived-in blondes is your blondes don't have to feel like they're darker or brunette. They literally can still feel so bright and blonde, especially with the muddy pieces in the front, but it's less maintenance. So it's so great because of that. All right, I'm going to show you her reaction and then also a few before and after photos. Let me know what you guys liked about this video, what you would like to see in the future. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and have a great day. Okay, turn around. Let us know what you think.
Oh my gosh, I'm so blonde! This is so crazy!
It's the cutest
Woo! I can't even put my makeup on!
Oh, I love it. I love it.
It looks
It's perfect for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
You
a
can't even
perfect.
tell.
Yeah.